Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Finding a new podcast to listen to is easy. Finding a good new podcast, that's a little tougher. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. If you like fascinating information you can use in your life from some of the top experts in the world, you're going to like Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and recently we've covered topics like the benefits of laughing, the science of dreaming, where your deep desires come from, even how to make the perfect burger. We produce 3 episodes a week, and each episode is packed with rock-solid intel that will make your life better. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Something You Should Know has been ranked on the Apple Podcast charts every day for over 7 years. A lot of people like this podcast, and you will too. Listen to Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. It's Something You Should Know.
Hey friends, before we get started, we just wanted to tell you 2 quick things.
Yes, the first thing is really good news, I think.
We have some good news.
Surprisingly, we have good news. The good news is that if you are close to the New York area, we are going to be doing a very special Buffering the Vampire Slayer live event at Union Hall in Brooklyn on December 18th. We're going to be playing through all 12 songs from the first 12 episodes that we have written so tirelessly. And we're going to be showing clips. We're going to be doing trivia. We're going to have some of our very dear friends come by and help us perform. It's going to be so sweet and so fun and so festive and so necessary right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, tell them how they can find out more.
You can find out more by visiting unionhallny.com. That's spelled how you think. And our show's on December 18th, so you can check out their calendar.
Yes.
Look at that date.
And it starts at 8 p.m. It's going to be really great. It's going to be really great. We also wanted to just acknowledge something before going into this episode, which is that we had pre-recorded, this is episode 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had pre-recorded episode 9 also before the election last week. And so, as I'm sure a lot of you are feeling, we are a little bit different in our tone.
We've changed.
We have changed, but we were really thankful that we had recorded this before because we've heard from a lot of you after episode 8 that this is, buoying your spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really nice that we were lost in a land of simple appreciations here. And I think, and I think too, and I do want to say this, that I'm very tied to getting back there for episode 10 as well. So
yeah,
we got a little respite by having this beforehand.
Yes. So enjoy a window back in time to pre-election results, Jenny and Kristine, talking about season 1, episode 9. Welcome to yet another episode of Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we talk about each and every Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode 1 at a time in chronological order, because that's the way God intended. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristen Russo, and this week we're talking about season 1, episode 9, The Puppet Show. Dun, dun, dun.
Stay tuned at the end of this episode and every episode for an all-new, all-original song that we'll be writing to recap what happens in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, who wrote where are we in the grand scheme of things here? Who wrote this? Who directed it? What day was it?
Let me help you get your bearings.
Yeah.
This episode was written by Rob Des Hotel, or perhaps Rob Day Hotel. His middle thing is DES. And Dean Batali. And it was directed by Ellen S. Pressman. Lady behind the camera.
Nice.
And it first aired on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 1997.
Also, for those of you who want to be reminded what this episode is about, it is called The Puppet Show, so you probably have an idea if you've already seen it. But IMDb tells us in their succinct description, Buffy suspects that a ventriloquist dummy may be harvesting organs from classmates performing in a talent show.
If I have to see this trope one more time in American TV and cinema.
Over and over and
it's always
over
with
again.
The living dummies
And the
harvesting organs.
harvesting of organs, I know. It's the one-two punch.
Give us a break.
Okay.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, so I read that this was the lowest rated episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in its history.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't double fact checked that, but that is what I hear.
If one place on the internet says it, it's probably true.
It's probably true, right? That's how the world works these days. Also, this is another episode with no vampires.
No vampires.
And this is the 4th episode out of 9 with no vampires.
Wow.
So they better get on track here.
Yeah.
We need some fangs. We need some blood sucking.
Preferably, yeah. I would
Garlic,
like that.
communion wafers. Where are all the
I miss
good
the communion wafers. The good old
the
days.
steaks? Come on, guys. But some important things happen in this episode. Namely, within the first few seconds.
Oh boy.
This may be the lowest rated of the episodes, but it may contain my favorite scene of all the episodes, which is when we go into the theater. And Cordelia it's funny because they set it up like they're auditioning, but they're really not. They're just like practicing, I guess.
Yeah, this
like
is a weird talent show setup.
Anyone can do this talent show. And Cordelia is singing, "At least I had my," what does it go?
I decided
long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. And the reason that I got confused on the lyrics, and I didn't tell you this, Jenny, although I may have told you it in our history, this song, this Whitney Houston song, came out. I'm gonna say, like, you can look it up while I tell this mini story, but I think that this Whitney Houston song came out in like maybe 84 or something like that, 85, somewhere in there. And I say that because I remember the video. It was Whitney Houston, and she was like standing on a stage. She was like lit by like one dramatic spotlight, and she was singing this song. And I thought that the lyrics were, if I fail, if I succeed, da, 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 da. And then when she got to, but you can't, the biggest line in the song, but you can't take away my dignity, I thought she was saying, but you can't take away my cup of tea.
Like what?
I don't know. I was small. How small was I? What year did it come out?
Well, I'll tell you, Kristen. It's difficult. Sorry, there were multiple versions. It came out March 18th, 1986.
86. Okay, so I was 6. And I loved the song, but I don't know I didn't know what dignity was. I was 6 years old, so I thought I thought somebody was trying to take away her cup of tea. And that's dramatic.
Yeah, you don't want anybody to take away your cup of tea.
You don't want to lose that. Anyway, not to divert us too far from the main focus of this episode, which is Cordelia's opening number.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I know this is really early on, Jenny, but I love Cordelia. I love her so much.
How much do you love her? Should we do something about it?
I think we can't get past even the credits
All right,
time.
Let's get right to it then.
Thank you.
Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
Whew.
And how?
I'm glad I got that out of my system.
Yeah, me too. That miniature song you just heard is, of course, Cordelia, our Cordelia Appreciation Anthem. And if you happen to occupy the center of the Venn diagram, that shows the overlap between iPhone users and people who love that Cordelia song. You can download it as a ringtone from your iPhone. You're welcome. So we see Cordelia sing. She is so great.
God, she's
doing
so great.
Such a great job.
But you know, if she's outperformed by anyone in this scene,
it's Giles, right?
It is Giles.
So much fantastic, subtle face acting from Giles in this episode, and so much exasperation.
I feel like
and resignation.
Like, I feel like if you were a high school teacher watching this series, you just like wanted to jump in the screen and hug Giles. Like, his facial expressions of total, just like, what am I? How did I get here? How did I get here? How did I wind up here? And who are these monsters?
Yes.
He really nails it. And then we meet,
for the first time ever,
Principal Snyder.
Very exciting.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. So great. What an entrance. And before we go on, we just want to tell you guys something so exciting.
Yeah.
We were able to speak with Armin Shimmerman, who portrays Principal Snyder, at some length, and we're going to be sharing our entire conversation with him in a bonus episode later this week.
Yes! On Saturday, we're going to put up a second episode of the week, which is so exciting.
What?
We were so excited. I want you to all be excited because Armin is an incredible human being. And yeah.
What a peach.
So many stories.
Oh my gosh.
It's just endless, wonderful, wonderful stories from Armin.
And he's so kind.
Yes.
Okay, so watch your feeds for that later this week. But anyway.
Okay, so Principal Snyder.
We're getting a first look.
We're getting a first look and a very clear first look. I mean,
Yes.
He tells us himself how he differs from Principal Flutie within like his first few seconds. He is like, I am not taking shit. I'm not taking anything. I don't like kids. This place is going to be shipshape. He's like the army general coming in.
Yeah. And he's saying Flutie was all touchy-feely. And then he says, Sunnydale has touched and felt for the last time.
Wow.
So good.
He also so casually is like, and that's what got him eaten.
Yeah.
Like,
very laissez-faire about the last principal getting devoured.
We are on the Hellmouth, so everybody's used to it, I guess. Even Principal Snyder. Wonder where Principal Snyder came from. But anyway, yeah, we meet Principal Snyder, and then Willow has a moment before we get to the credits here that I scratched my head about when they see the dummy, right? So that's important. We see the dummy.
Right.
We see that the dummy is part of the show. And that this kid has done a horrible voice, but then all of a sudden does this incredible voice.
Right.
And Buffy, we learned Buffy doesn't like dummies.
Yes.
However,
very
Willow,
relatable.
Very relatable. Willow, I think dummies are cute.
Ew, Willow.
What are you?
Shut up.
Willow.
Don't. Ew.
It's not even truthful. I don't think Willow thinks dummies are cute. I think she just got confused. And
yes,
I don't.
There must be some mistake.
Dummies aren't cute. They're terrifying.
No, yeah, they're super creepy. They're little unhinged little jaws. Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Anyway,
but
so
how great to see Giles, who has just been like looking so exhausted and so bummed out, and he's being mocked by his 3 teenage pals. And then those teenage pals get roped into the talent show by Principal Snyder, and then Giles is so pleased.
Yeah, he really is very excited. Very
really
excited
good.
to have them on board. And then dancer Emily gets attacked in the locker room. Cut to
R.I.P.
credits.
Emily.
Bye, Emily. It was a good opening shot on Emily.
Another great spooky locker room scene. Like,
Yeah.
why are locker rooms so good at being spooky?
I don't know. This episode, I took some notes too in scenes that are coming up about the fact, because we just talked about this in the last episode, that I think, I'll see how I feel when we get into like seasons 2 and 3, but I feel like season 1 of this show is really horror movie. Like, it's really pulling on a lot of it. Like, this episode does the same thing, with the creepy locker room shots and the scene where she's walking over to the locker, that she like knocks the lock in and opens the dummy case to reveal no dummy. That is totally done.
Yeah.
I did make a note that in this episode, I think we see Buffy walking in dark rooms of the high school to creepy music for a very long time. Like, if we started and measured this, it's probably like 3 to 4 solid minutes of Buffy just walking in silence with creepy music.
Yeah.
In dark.
A lot of dimly lit,
spooky
areas of the high school we haven't seen yet. The auditorium, backstage.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. We do see a lot more of the high school than we've seen to date. And I saw like that there's like a bird's eye view of the stage floor towards the end, which really made me like reminisce about being in high school. It was like that is exactly the way the high school theater stage looked at my high school, all beaten up and like walked over and 18 different tape marks all over it. And you know, I don't know. Did you have talent shows at your high school?
I think so. Probably. I think I was in one 1 year.
Doing like singing?
Like playing an original song.
By Jenny Owen Young's? A Jenny Owen Young's original?
I think so. Well, the really big thing every year was we had a lip sync contest.
Oh.
Which I also got roped into 1 year.
What did you lip sync?
Oh boy. Well, usually people would do something, I don't know, like if any of you at home listening have seen Kristine's lip sync work.
Oh yeah, if you're not familiar, Everyone Is Gay's YouTube channel has just an arsenal of
lots of examples.
Lip syncing. I'm a pro.
And that's very like dramatic and fun, and there's like props and stuff, but because of the kind of high schooler that I was and the people that I hung out with, just the people I was in a real band with, we all dressed up like the Smashing Pumpkins and played our like band instruments. And that's it.
That's so fun.
Also, inexplicably,
Were you Darcy?
I was Darcy, and I had these silver pleather pants from Hot Topic that I wore. And
man, Hot Topic sure getting a lot of mentions for free
right?
on this
we'll
podcast.
Take a Hot Topic sponsorship any day now. I don't remember what shirt I was wearing, but I do remember that I had this silver lipstick. And for some reason, I don't know what possessed me, but I was like, I did my lips, and then I was like, fuck it. And then I did my whole face.
What?
Silver lipstick. I don't know why. I don't remember ever seeing Darcy with like a painted silver face. Yeah, I was just like,
what like that quiet moment of a person putting on lipstick when it just starts to go like outside of their mouth all over the face.
Go big or go home. Go face or go don't.
I'm gonna imagine that if you had pictures of this, I would have already seen them. But
yeah, I don't.
What
have
a loss!
pictures.
What a loss to the world! Wow.
So wait, sorry, did you guys have talent?
I don't think so. I mean, I was in theater in high school, so they had like a fall play, and then they had the big spring musical, and then they did like this little secondary music, like a smaller little sort of on book musical at the end of the year.
Oh,
yeah, it was really.
We did like a fall play and a spring musical too, but I was never in.
But
any
you didn't
of them.
do that. Yeah, I spent the better part of my high school career in the theater, in the high school theater. That was my whole life.
I just like the audition process as a concept I just can't.
That was the worst part. I mean, that is the worst part of the process. Well, at least that was the worst part for me. You don't like, putting yourself out there to be like scrutinized and chosen or not chosen is
thank you.
Very difficult, but it's fine, everyone. I played Mary Warren in The Crucible. I was in, Camelot, Pippin, and Once Upon a Mattress, where I think that I was close, or at least in the running, to get the role of the princess in Once Upon a Mattress, because she's one of the only leads in a musical that doesn't have to be able to really sing very well. She's like a brassy alto, kind of like a character part in the musical, but she's the lead. So I can't sing very well, but I thought I almost had it, and then I didn't get it.
Did Margot Martindale swoop in? And
Martindale swooped in and got the part. What's funny is that, well, actually, maybe I shouldn't talk about that on the podcast. Never mind. A story for another day when we're good friends.
Yes, quite.
But yeah, so I spent a lot of time in the theater in my high school, and I felt like this was a good representation. But we did not have a talent show. We did not. So, okay, we get past the credits. And we jump right into the character of Sid, because the first thing I have written down is they're in the theater, and Sid, this is like the scene where Sid is sitting with, what's his name?
Morgan.
I keep wanting to call him Malcolm.
That's from last episode.
Morgan is sitting with Sid, and Sid looks over at the group, the Scoobies, and says, look at the goodies. And this is really just with us throughout. It is
a bummer.
It's such a bummer. And I mean, it's like, 1930, like he's like a 1930s dude. So I think they were pulling on like, the way dudes talked about ladies in the 1930s.
Or today,
just using different words. But yeah, just there's something. It's like a female objectification is rough already, but when it's done by a wooden dummy,
yeah, that is just extra rough,
extra special creepy. Yeah. And then we find out that dancer Emily has been behearted.
Right, just before the scream, which is a great
scream. I wish I knew whose scream that was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful scream.
Beautiful horror scream.
A+. We have Giles talking to Principal Snyder, and
this is actually where he says he doesn't like kids.
yes, he does. He's talking about how he doesn't like kids and they're not people, and Principal Flutie thought kids were people, and that's the kind of woolly-headed liberal thinking that gets you eaten. Like, I feel like we meet Principal Snyder and everybody's talking about him like he's been the principal for a minute already, and he's like, I've been like watching you three, and like you know, I've been observing this, and it's there's a new sheriff in town, whatever. So like all the characters already know him, but we're meeting him for the first time. But he does did such an amazing job introducing this character and like making it very crystal clear, but also like obviously it's like a ridiculous overstate, you know, like it's just blown out of proportion, but it's so great. All of his lines are so great, and he's just got like this amazing air of just like so great.
Yeah, he's a great character, great actor and great character combined. So anyway, Emily loses her heart,
dead in the locker room, and she's been dehearted
again. Sunnydale High School strikes again here with like, you guys,
one strand of caution tape
where the students are like directly up against it.
Yeah, they're bagging the weapon like just out in the hallway.
Like the Ziploc is not even sealed.
No.
There's a bloody knife, and they're all, and like, I mean, to give credit to the Sunnydale High School students, they are very calm about this because it
seems to be a regular enough occurrence that water off the duck's back.
People dropping left and right over at Sunnydale High School.
And because there's a weapon involved, the Slayerettes are thinking this is a person, not a demon. Willow says, "Oh my god, it could be anyone. It could be me.
Jenny and I guffawed twice in a row at that line when we watched it once and twice.
It's so funny.
But I liked this moment. I thought this was a very interesting moment. It was small and fleeting, but what I pulled from it, like, because they're like, oh, this would be like, it's simple if it's a demon, right? Because demons are like pure evil.
Right.
And so we know like demons are here. They're going to need their heart. They're going to harvest it, and onwards they go. For like our understanding of that evil is clear. But if this is if a human did this, they sort of set it up like, well, that's more complex. Then we're walking in like really fucked up territory.
Yeah.
Because for a human being to kill another human being is much more, I think, in their view and mine, much more of an atrocity than a demon.
Absolutely.
Right? So I thought that was interesting.
For sure.
Oh dear. My next note is just ha 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 Cordelia. What did she do? I don't even remember.
I believe all the Slayerettes are on their individual detective runs, and Cordelia is going on and on and on about what a tragedy Emily's death is for her.
Right. Well, she actually says Emma and I were best friends.
Right.
And then I noticed because Buffy is wearing this dress in this piece that is, it's like a leopard dress.
Go on.
But I'm pretty sure it's a shirt. And that's not me judging, wear what you would like to wear, people.
It's just a simple matter of clothing. It's just classification.
Clothing math.
What is that
here?
garment?
Right. When do we call it a dress and when do we call it a shirt? Mm-hmm. Where is the line? Buffy's right on it with this. I've tried to like watch to see if she was able to like sit down or do anything, but they cut every like
that
as she would go to sit. Yeah, as she would go to sit, they would like cut to the other next scene.
Oh my god.
But to go back to Principal Snyder for just a second, because Giles then is talking about this. They're in the library now, and Giles is talking to them about Principal Snyder, because I think this is the part when Buffy is like, are you serious that we're going to be concerned about this talent show? Like, this is ridiculous. We have stuff to take care of, Giles. You know better than to prioritize school things.
Right.
But Giles has this moment where he's like, no, like, Principal Snyder is watching us, and if we're not careful, we're going to have obstacles to get around that are going to make it even more difficult for us to deal with the demons and the vampires on the Hellmouth.
Right.
Which is like investing a pretty good amount of power in Principal Snyder, because nobody was worried about Principal Flutie.
Right. He was like a little bit of he was like just a bump.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He wasn't a wall.
Right. And I think too, I mean, for me watching this, again, first viewing of this episode in my life, so I think they're setting up. They really set you up to think Principal Snyder is harvesting hearts. I mean,
yeah,
you really think that, he's like always lurking behind a corner.
Yes,
there's
he's
this
always somewhere.
There's two incredible lighting moments for Principal Snyder in this.
Yes.
There's one when are they both they're both backstage. One is he's coming down the staircase.
Yeah, and he's lit from below.
Yes, and it's like this triangulation of light on his face that's super spooky. And then the other one is where he's lit from behind and his whole head is silhouette, except for his 2 ears are just lit through, like so that they're like bright red glowing ears. So nice. So nice. So you really think, I mean, I definitely thought like I kind of thought Principal Snyder had something to do with it.
Right. Yeah, we're definitely meant to think that.
Right. I mean, I have some future knowledge. Like, had I not seen the whole series, then I would have been like, oh, it's definitely Principal Snyder.
Right.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I know this is a big Principal Snyder episode, though, but he has this line that where he's like, I'm not going to tolerate this and I'm not going to tolerate that. And he ends with like, I'm not going to tolerate hearts being removed and I'm not going to tolerate smoking.
Like, he's a guy who knows what he's about.
Right.
I can appreciate that.
And also, it's like this is the perfect Sunnydale High School situation where like the principals, the students, they all have to kind of weigh demons and horrible things against everyday struggles like smoking cigarettes.
Right.
Buffy has to study for her exam and slay vampires. Principal Snyder has to watch people's hearts and also keep them from smoking, which I guess is really watching a heart in multiple ways.
Right.
He's concerned about the well-being, the health of the students. Yes.
So next we're in Buffy's room. And there's Joyce after a minute away. Good to see you, Joyce.
Great to see Joyce.
She's dreaming about bills.
Yeah, just as Joyce would. Just such a modern woman, paying her bills,
seriously,
raising her kid, working her job.
Has anything ever been worse than when Joyce closes the door and Buffy is getting into bed and it pans over to the window and the dummy's face when the light goes out is just there in the window?
No.
Yeah, it was real bad.
So bad. I screamed. The first time I screamed gutturally, and the second time knowing that it was coming, I still screamed.
Yeah.
It's horrific. Terrible. And if anything beats the horrific value of that reveal where the lights go out and that goddamn dummy head is in the window, it's the pitter-patter of his tiny little wooden feet.
Terrible. Just terrible.
I hate it. Oh, it's so good, though. Like, it is really an effective...
Yeah.
Creep factor.
Just awful.
Oh, yeah. So creepy. So then commercial break. Actually, the commercial break happens and then we get the tapping feet. And I love this because something happens in this episode where like Buffy is afraid of dummies. Like she has a fear of them. And so she does things that I think are like kind of out of character for her a lot in this episode. Because, she wakes up with like a dummy in her bed, which like, I will give it to you, Buffy. That's creepy. But also we've seen you behead demons and wrestle with vampires. And, you deal with all sorts of mucky stuff.
Mucky.
And yet she is terrified. She screams for Joyce. And she, like, it's not even like she screams for Joyce, realizes her error, and is like, oh, nothing, Mom. She's like, something is in my bed.
Yeah.
Which...
Unbuffy.
Very unbuffy. But there's something about this. It's like, they're not... Xander, we're about to get to this scene with Xander not taking her serious, but Xander's not taking her seriously. Giles is not taking her seriously. And she's really afraid and acting in ways that, are very unslayer-like.
Yeah, out of character.
Yeah, which is cool because, we've seen her as like a character who doesn't really get afraid.
Yeah, and if you're gonna get afraid of just one thing, it should probably be a living wooden dummy.
Yeah. Jenny's freaked out, and Jenny's really not afraid of... No, Jenny's afraid of a lot of things.
Hey, now. Definitely not having that dummy.
So before we get to Xander not believing Buffy, if you don't notice yet, no matter how inconsequential Cordelia's moments are, I will likely bring them all up. But this is good, right? Like Cordelia's losing it. She's like, I'm not sure I can go in this part of the talent show because the mood won't be right for my song. And Xander has tipped Giles off to the fact that if he just mentions her hair, she'll go away, and it works. It works. She gets very concerned about her. What about my hair? And then she just like flees off stage.
And then like the look of like surprise and then ultimate delight on Giles's like another round of subtle great face acting from Anthony Stewart Head.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just want to say this scene opens with the magician practicing, and like I'll tell you what, I don't agree with his methods or what he's all about, but he does kind of make me want to go buy a cape.
Oh boy.
I haven't had a cape in so many years.
When did you have a cape?
Like when I was in elementary school.
Oh, okay.
You know, like Halloween cape, magic cape.
And what would you do with your cape?
Executioner cape.
Oh my.
That was my last cape, I think, which was 6th grade.
I'm sorry. Let's just all take a moment here. You had many capes.
Yeah.
The last of which was an executioner's cape.
That's right.
And I'm sorry, audience, if you all know this, but what is an executioner's cape? How is it differentiated from a cape?
It's just like the cape that I had for my executioner costume at the, oh boy.
Yeah, why? For Halloween?
Well, nope.
Okay, that's what, it didn't look like Halloween.
So every year, I was in this like one class in elementary school where like every year the 6th graders who were in that class got to pick an event, and they like kind of put together a whole event for like the rest of the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I had been like going to medieval times a bunch and like reading a lot of like Forgotten Realms novels and, you know, just being very enthusiastic about fantasy and Renaissance fairs in general.
Yes, of course.
So I was like, what if the theme was Renaissance fair? So my teacher was like, yes, let's do that.
Thinking like, you know, standard costumes for a Renaissance fair.
Right. Well, I mean, it was a whole thing. They had like guys from medieval times come in and like do like a fight demonstration.
Wow.
And they were like, everybody was like talking in like goofy, you know, whatever people think, like, you know, Shakespeare English, which I don't think really was particularly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Shakespeare English was like really a way anybody actually talked.
Right.
But like everybody's kind of talking like that, and like everybody was in costume, and there were like, you know, games, and it was a whole thing. And also in sync with that, the other event that spawned off of this Renaissance fair was that we did a Renaissance fair rehash of The Wizard of Oz called The Lizard of Oz, which referred to a dragon.
Who was this teacher?
Her name was Susan Painter. She was
Susan
so
Painter.
awesome. Yeah, she was amazing. She made me think I could do anything.
I mean, she made you think that because you literally did. You were like, I want this. And she was like, cool. And then you were like, let's do that. Like, that's amazing.
Well, I don't think the musical was my idea. I was just like, Renaissance fair. I love Renaissance fairs.
I hope that it was Susan Painter's idea to call it The Lizard of Oz.
I believe that is accurate.
Whew.
So I was the equivalent of a scarecrow. I was a jester.
Okay. Is that when you learned how to juggle?
Yes, that is when I learned how to juggle.
The story is full of Jenny trivia.
And then for the actual Renaissance fair, which was like a separate day, I dressed up as an executioner because I was a weird kid.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say my mom made a lot of costumes when we were kids,
Right.
so I'm going to guess that she sewed the cape.
Wow. Well, you know
You
what?
didn't know any
you
of
still
that
have
about
that,
me.
Mom. So maybe you can ask her if she'll make you an adult cape.
Oh my God!
She did just send us
Christmas
an email
is coming!
asking what we wanted for Christmas.
I'm going to tell her I want a cape.
A cape. Mom, I would yes, your 34-year-old daughter
is ready for I'll be 35 by then.
You'll be
Ready for another cape.
ready for an adult cape.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the skin-safe seal of approval.
They've also earned the Jenny Owen Young's and Kristen Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristen and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening, and I am happy.
I have used a million billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin like lotion, the moisturizer that I used, and the under eye cream that I use, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them, and I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Wow.
Okay, that was a real tangent.
No, that was important. That is what podcasts are for. So, right, Xander doesn't take Buffy seriously. They think it's a cat. They think there's bigger fish to fry. We go to class.
Oh my God. Why is this kid allowed? In what universe is this kid allowed to have his ventriloquist dummy
just
out
sitting at his desk?
Also, this is not the first time something has done a 180-degree head spin to look at Buffy while nobody else knows what's going on.
I'll answer this trivia.
Who was the first?
What is the praying mantis?
Yeah. Natalie French.
What is her name? Natalie?
Yes.
Natalie French. Yeah, and this is something that I have to say, we read this little factoid on the internet, but I'm excited about it mostly because Jenny made a huge deal in episode 3, Witch, about the troll pen that Buffy was using. Or that Buffy was carrying around. And we see the troll pen again. I mean, we didn't see it either time, looking for it or not looking for it. But if you go back to the scene where they first enter the history classroom, they pan across the classroom and Willow is there, and Willow is writing with the troll pen. Second spotting of the troll pen.
Let's keep an eye out.
We watched it the second time and didn't see it, and I was like, I'm gonna find it. And I went back and frame by frame was like,
oh my God,
searching for. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to know. I love this is super creepy, right? The dummy turns around, looks at Buffy. It is really, low ratings are not for this episode. The creep factor for the dummy is pretty high. But then Cordelia has this moment that I just treasure where she's like, it's just her and Buffy in the back of the classroom. She says oh, looks like the dummy is taking a liking to you. Guess you can go on tour with the freak show or like whatever. Some like typical Cordelia like dig. And she is so satisfied with herself. There's nobody looking. Like it's not even, usually when you see this setup, there's like other people around and she's like, check out what I did. I bullied. She's by herself. Nobody has seen her. And she smiles to herself.
And tosses her hair.
She is like, nailed it. Nailed it, Cordy. You really got her good.
Oh my God.
It's really, really good. And then we go, Xander has this dummy. So Xander steals the dummy out of the teacher's cabinet once the dummy gets taken away from whatever. Why can't I remember his name?
Morgan.
I know, Morgan. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, the dummy gets taken away from Morgan. Xander takes it. They have it in the library. Xander does just... His dummy voice is very upsetting.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Really a bummer. I'm skipping ahead. I like a lot of things, but I love the moment when the dummy disappears.
Oh my God.
It's so good. Like
when Xander sees it.
Xander's so like, I've got this dummy thing on lock. And then he puts the dummy in the chair and the two, Giles and Willow go upstairs to read the books. And he turns around, the dummy is gone. And he like
leaps onto the table.
Yes, he like screams and in one swoop, like I think jumps onto his chair. And that's hysterical.
Yeah.
And like, so like, that's like a real react. I thought, way to go, Xander.
Totally.
Nailed that. And then when Giles and Willow find out that the dummy is gone, because it's like, I feel like the direction here was like, okay, act like a rat just got out, right? Because they're all just like, what can I stand on? Like,
yes. It's so
really
good.
It tickled me. It really tickled me. And there's that amazing music cue too.
Oh, what was the music cue?
Sid disappears and there's like a cello, some kind of a string that's like, romp.
Also, before the dummy disappears, it's important to notice that when Willow and Giles are discussing where they're headed in the library, Willow says she's once again vanished to the demon section of the card catalog, and Giles says he's going to poke about in organ harvesting.
Organ harvesting.
What?
This library.
Section of the what are the called in the Dewey Decimal System? Where can I locate demons and organ harvesting? Because I'd like to do some reading.
I think you have to go to the Sunnydale Library.
I guess so.
Is the thing, right?
Maybe.
Take
me there.
Then like a lot of stuff happens. Whatever.
Buffy goes to the auditorium to look for Morgan.
Right.
She's walking around backstage, and there is a 3D demon bust portrait thing that's like it looks like as though it were like a painting that was a window into another dimension, and the demon is sticking its head through the window that she walks past, and it's like, what in the fuck high school has that backstage?
Jenny, you keep asking these questions. How do they have the books? Why do they have the paintings? And I think you're forgetting where we are.
That's it?
I mean, we're on the Hellmouth.
Okay, I'll stop asking.
I
reserve the right to be incredulous.
No, I love it. You call it out as many times as you need to. But right, she's looking for Malcolm, Morgan, whatever.
Snyder shows up very well lit.
Right. We get first good Snyder lighting here.
Implies that she isn't safe walking around by herself.
Oh,
and she is very incensed.
Yes.
I can take care of myself.
Buffy says.
How dare you?
Squashing the patriarchy.
The patriarchy!
Under her Slayer heel.
Yeah, under her fashionable boot heel. Then Snyder goes away, and turns out Morgan is dead, and then, oh no, here comes a chandelier.
See, now I'm glad you walked us to this moment, because
how heavy could that chandelier be? Doesn't she have Slayers? I guess she doesn't have a lot of leverage because she's pinned.
Once she's under it, I'm there with her, right? Once she's under it, I'm believing, okay, that maybe it's hard to leverage the strength to get the chandelier off of her.
But don't Slayer abilities perhaps imply Slayer reflexes?
They do. She's had, and she's a little off kilter in this episode. Like, she really is. She's very
thrown
afraid.
by the dummy.
Well, because she's afraid.
Yeah.
And it's like, just like any person or Slayer, if you're working from a place of fear, you are not working at your 100% capacity.
Totally.
So I can justify this with that. But there's like a commercial. I call them commercial breaks because they're where commercials went. But we see the chandelier fall. We cut to commercial. And when we come back, I was like ready for her to be like twirling the chandelier on her pinky finger, like, or whatever. Like, I definitely did not. I was shocked when I saw her pinned underneath it. Right. I was like, Buffy, get it together, girl. You're supposed to be reflexes like a cat.
I wonder, random sidebar question that you just made me think of. I wonder if, for people who are watching on Hulu, if the ad breaks
are where the ad breaks are.
Exactly. I wonder if they're breaking it up the same way.
Well, let us know.
I feel like there are a lot of ad breaks on Hulu.
Yeah, let us know, humans.
Yeah.
Do the commercials go where the commercials ought to go? For some reason, I feel like no. For some reason, I feel like that would be way too awesome if they really got that to work properly. But yeah, she's pinned under this chandelier. Is this all one day? Is she still in the leopard dress with the jacket?
Well, I don't know if it's the same.
It's not
this
the same
episode
day.
doesn't take place in one day because
No.
she sleeps.
Right. Oh, right. So
At
it's
least once,
it's
maybe
the next day.
twice. It's impossible. Time seems to have no meaning in the realm of the talent show because they're just always there.
Right.
Like, what are they doing?
They're
just like they're all walking in different directions and like practicing, but all really close to each other. So it's like, how effectively can you really rehearse if other people are rehearsing loudly near you?
A mystery that is not solved in this episode, I'll tell you what. But yeah, and then so Sid, okay? Sid thinks Buffy is the demon, right? We go through this whole thing. We learn this whole thing. But when Sid goes over to Buffy and she's pinned under the chandelier and he goes after her head with a knife and she like tilts her head to the right by 3 millimeters to avoid the knife blow. My thought was, this dummy killed 6 other demons. Like, his fighting style is pretty weak. He has no strength at all. He's just a little tiny sack of bones. So I'm just curious as to how he conquered the other 6 demons.
Another 6 tales for another 6 episodes.
I guess we'll have to find out. Do you know who I miss right now?
Who's that?
I miss Kate Leth.
Oh my God, me too.
It's just like, we've talked a little bit about short dresses.
We've talked about leopard prints.
Yeah, and I think it's time.
I think it's time too.
Kate, give us the Buffy fashion watch.
Please.
It's time for our friend Kate to give you the Buffy fashion update.
Welcome back, everybody, to an episode where I finally get to talk about Cordelia in no less than 3 distinct outfits, although I am going to focus on 2 of them because they feature my favorite kind of fabric. Okay, listen, after everything that happened in the last week, I did not think I'd end up researching the differences between velour and velvet, but here we are, right? Whatever gets you through the day. So, velvet is shinier than velour, but it's woven, whereas velour is knit. This means that velvet doesn't stretch. So in the opening scene, Cordy's got that high-necked, silver, short-sleeved, incredible situation, but it's stretchy, which means that it's probably velour, or more specifically, crushed velour. If velvet or velour are crushed, that means they've been processed. So the fibers, which are known as the nap, by the way, no big deal, they lay asymmetrically rather than in the same direction. So instead of being smooth, they've got that mottled creased effect that was super popular in the 90s and in the 60s and 70s before that, since all fashion is cyclical. In her later scene before the talent show, her dress has a more rigid construction. It's thicker, and instead of being stretchy. So that leads me to believe it's crushed velvet. Either way, Cordelia has her bases covered and, as always, looks perfect. The rest of the gang don't wear a lot this episode that stands out. Pretty standard looks. Everybody's kind of rocking what they've been rocking for the past couple episodes, but Buffy does have that micro mini leopard print dress that she wears with her leather jacket, and guess what boots? Just try and guess. Oh yeah, it's the brown ones. But I do want to point out Willow's daisy chain necklaces and her super basic earrings because, I'm sure it was an intentional stylistic choice that she always wears children's jewelry. Almost everything that Willow wears is really basic, chunky beads or only one bead, where Buffy has a lot of silver, things that are a little more dainty. So it makes Willow look a little more childish, a little less grown up, and it works. But also, she deserves better. It's fine. Also, Giles's sweaters in this episode are really good. He's cute. What can I say? Until next time, I'll see you at the mall.
That was our friend Kate. She gave you the Buffy fashion update.
Thank you, Kate, for that insightful look inside the mind and closets of all those in Sunnydale.
Yes, thank you, Kate. So more pitter patter, more horrible pitter patter of those feet.
The worst.
Right. And then we find out all this backstory about the dummy. I think that this happens in this piece, right? We find out all the reasons that he thought she was the dummy. He was trying to kill her, but actually she's not the demon. And turns out, and then, yes, Jenny.
All of this information is interrupted when Giles says, the show
must go on.
So for once, Giles is in the position that Buffy is usually in, where he has to balance his school responsibilities with his demon fighting responsibilities.
Yes.
How the tables have turned and the chickens have come home to roost in a bed of your own making.
I really hoped you could keep going for a bit. I'm proud of you.
That's all I got.
Yeah. So we go to the theater, and the idea is we're going to figure out who the demon is by whoever the missing student is, right? That's going to be because the brain has been harvested. Because we forgot to talk about it because nobody cares that Morgan has been de-brained.
Bye, Morgan.
Literally nobody cares. Like, we make it to the end of this episode. There's a talent show that is fully performed. Morgan was totally de-brained in the back of the theater and not addressed at all. So whatever. Sorry, Morgan. Morgan's brain was not up to snuff is what we find out because Buffy, unfortunately, Buffy really has a rough run. She's got the dummy this episode. She's
brain goop.
She accidentally grabs a full human brain in her hands. And even Slayers have their limits here. That's pretty nasty. And we learn that Morgan's brain is not viable.
Right. Because cancer. R.I.P. Sorry, Morgan.
Oh, so yes, I wasn't laughing at Morgan's brain cancer. I was just laughing because I was already hearing Willow's disbelief.
Oh my God.
At being the smart, they're in the library.
The demon's gonna need somebody really smart, and Xander and Buffy exchange a meaningful glance, and then they both look at Willow, and Willow's like, What?
Yeah.
Oh God, Willow's so great in this episode.
Yeah, Willow is
so many great moments.
She really does. This is one of the top ones though. Her disbelief. She knows the square root of
841.
841,
which is of course 29.
Wow. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that we give Sunnydale a lot of room for what they allow and their nonsense, and they don't call the cops, and they don't care about murder.
Mm-hmm.
But a guillotine? Like an actual blade that could sever?
To be fair, you know who's in charge of the talent show? Giles.
Yeah, that's true.
His mind is a little divided.
But this is upsetting.
No pun intended.
Nice one. But this is upsetting to me, though. Like, not the... fine, Giles is in charge. It's Sunnydale. Maybe there's a freaking guillotine in the talent show, like an actual guillotine. But Giles was... How does he lay down on this table? That's
is he really the smartest person around?
He is smarter than this. We have not really called anything out on like, hey, writers,
But his British foppishness, like his like sort of like just like, oh, I couldn't possibly be rude. And I'm not buying it. I'm just saying, like,
that's how they couched this.
It seems that way. That seems how he's playing it. I love them running down the hallway.
Yes, and there's like a janitor in the hallway like sees them run out of the library and is just like, crazy kids.
Yeah,
always running around screaming about their librarians.
Here's an important question about like physics and stuff.
Yeah.
How many axe chops does it take to cut through like a 5/8 of an inch thick piece of rope?
Well, I mean, I guess demons are good at what they're good at, This demon is good at certain things like harvesting organs, but not as good with an axe.
Gotcha. He's no Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, you give him that knife back and he'll probably be
right,
really nailing it. But yeah, he struggles with the rope, thankfully. I was so excited about this teamwork in this scene. Giles is the only one I was disappointed in because how did you get us to this position in the first place, Giles? No, thank you. But like Buffy is like flies in, knocks out the demon just before he hits the axe to the rope one more time, and Giles gets debrained, and then Xander grabs the rope as it's falling, catches the blade in his hands, and then Willow grabs the axe over to the lock to get him out.
Yes.
Fantastic. They are getting it together, this team. Everybody's got their place.
Yeah. Really nice. Like a well-oiled machine.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Also, I love as Buffy is fighting the magician and kicks him into his like presto changeo box. We've seen this kid doing all these magic tricks and none of them are working. The rabbit's not in the hat. He's telling Giles which card to pick. His assistant doesn't get out of the box when he spins it around. He goes into the box and then he busts out of it fully transformed into a demon. The first time one of his magic tricks has sort of worked in a way.
Yeah.
So, such a nice moment.
Yeah, finally. Finally, he's a successful magician and a fully formed demon. Buffy has a great moment, too, when he's starting to change before he goes into the box. She, kicks him or something, and his face is, part demon. And she just has a really great ew. That she's so... and her ew actually gets her knocked on her ass. Because she says ew, and in the moment of her being, disgusting, he gets a punch in or something. He gets something in that knocks her to the ground. But yeah, and so they defeat the seventh, right? Because this is the seven.
Right.
The seventh, and Sid gets this really wonderful last moment where he's been waiting to die. We didn't talk about the moment where he's up in the rafters with Buffy. I mean, we kind of did because we talked about him objectifying everyone.
Right. They have a heart-to-heart interlaced with some objectification.
Yeah, but in this moment, Buffy, but for whatever reason, just looks right past the objectification or looks at it endearingly.
Well, not totally endearingly. She is ew.
Yeah, she's gross. I think she's gross, but also this dude's been trapped in this dummy body for a while. Maybe now's not the time for a lecture on treating women properly.
Right.
But they have this really sweet moment where, she knows, they all know that, once this demon is defeated, he will be let free.
Which means he'll be dead.
But it's something that he wants and has sought after for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, stabs the demon in the heart and then disappears, dies, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Buffy picks him up.
Like
a little baby Jesus.
And then up comes the curtain.
Yes.
To a fully packed theater.
Oh my God.
Waiting, anticipating the beginning moments of the talent show. And the reveal is a beheaded demon, Buffy holding ventriloquist dummy,
Giles putting his glasses on.
Yes, that's it. That they understand that.
Yes,
they've seen that
before.
Times. But yeah, this is just a really good moment. And Principal Snyder is sitting in the. This is, I think, when you're watching this for the first time, this is Principal Snyder didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
He's sitting in the audience and he's like, "Oh, what is this?
I don't
Avant-garde."
So great.
Yeah. So. And somehow then they just transition from that scene into the talent show, right? There's no...
Or it just goes to the credits.
Well, right. But I mean, in Sunnydale time.
Oh, right. Who knows?
They're like, aha!
Stage clearing.
Yeah. Don't mind this. And they drag the demon's body off stage.
Yeah.
You know what I was reading? I think this is a very commonly known fact, but the decision to make the vampires, when they're killed, turn to dust was a very practical decision.
Right.
Because otherwise there'd be all these dead bodies on screen and Buffy would be tasked with clearing the dead bodies and things. So them turning to dust was very practical for that. But I thought of it here because there's this demon body that's just kind of laying there. Yeah, so I don't know what they do with that. They should have a series called After the Show.
My God.
What happens? What do they do with that demon's body? But yeah, we go before we talk about the split screen. I just want to make sure we don't forget our Sexual Tension Award.
Oh, great!
I know.
Let's leave the dummy out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had a tough.
Maybe Morgan in the dummy.
I know, but
yeah, no, it's.
I had a tough time with this one. Sexual tension.
Is there just no sexual tension?
It was kind
episode?
of sexual tensionless. For the most part, right? I mean, it was just who? I don't know.
R.I.P. sexual tension.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe we give it to you. Who do you think had the most sexual tension? Do you think there was sexual tension in this one? Normally I'd just throw it to Cordelia and Buffy for fun, but they weren't even.
Yeah, they didn't
really
even
happen.
have a good thing.
Yeah.
Going.
So I guess if we had to give it to anyone, it would. It would have to be Morgan and
Let's
the
just
dummy.
not, though. Let's throw it in the garbage before we give it to them.
Yeah, history's happening here, folks. Season 1, episode 9.
No sexual
tension award. But then something really unique happens with the credits.
Yes, the one and only time in the whole series.
Yeah.
That we have a split screen between the credits and a little extra footage at the end.
Right, and they don't use the font in the
Oh,
probably
yeah, they don't use the Slayer font.
They don't use the Slayer font, probably because they wanted to fit it in the half screen.
Right.
The thing that's interesting about why, and I don't know if this was the reason why they decided to put it with the split screen, but this scene of them, Buffy, Willow, and Xander doing this clip or this bit of Oedipus. Wait, yeah, it's of Oedipus, right?
I look to you, theater
Yeah,
major.
it's Oedipus Rex. And it was only split screened in the initial airing of this episode. All future airings up until the most modern time, like now on Netflix and Hulu, didn't have this split screen, and then the DVDs did have it.
Right, and also when it went into syndication on other networks besides the WB.
It was just because the WB
WB didn't want it.
One of the little trivia points that I think explains why this is the case says that during a panel discussion that was a DVD extra on the season 7 DVDs, Joss Whedon said that after they shot this episode, they got a note from the network asking for the talent show scene from Oedipus to be removed. The note said, quote, "We realize that it's Shakespeare, but does he have to talk about sleeping with his mother?" End quote. The ancient Greek play Oedipus Rex was actually written by the Athenian playwright Sophocles about 2,000 years before Shakespeare was born. So WB didn't want this clip in, but it somehow was in the initial airing.
Yeah, so it slid right by them.
Yeah, and then they took it out. But I thought that was kind of fun, and also you guys,
pretty hilarious.
Shakespeare, Sophocles, potato.
Yeah.
Right. So wow. Here we are.
Yeah, I think we've done it.
We've done it. We've done most of it. I think we did a lot of it for this episode.
Thanks so much for listening this week. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not watching Buffy, I am usually writing songs and recording them. You can learn more about me at jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering, and you can give me a shout on Twitter at jennyowenyoungs. Also, for the month of November, I'll be working to raise funds for 4 important organizations: the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, Everyone is Gay, and Every Town for Gun Safety. These are 4 organizations that do great work all day, every day of every year, but now they're more important than ever. The way that I'm working to raise funds is that I'm creating custom handwritten lyric sheets, and you can order them at squareup.com/store/JennyOwenYoungs, or if that URL is too long, you can just go to my Twitter page at JennyOwenYoungs and click on the link in my top pinned tweet. I'll be making these through the end of the month. They're $100 a pop. You pick the song, and you pick the organization where the funds go.
Super awesome.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, thank you. I'm Kristen Russo, and you can find me over at Twitter at Kristen Noeline. That's KRISTINNOELINE. And when I'm not here talking about Buffy, I am working to bring advice and laughter and resources to LGBTQ youth and their families. And I will tell you what, I have breezed right through that description of my work for the past 8 episodes of Buffering. And in this past week, I have realized, not that I didn't know how important the work was before, but I have realized how important it is right now. So I just want to encourage all of you to visit everyoneisgay.com or mykidisgay.com, or to share those URLs, share those accounts using your social media or using your mouth. I don't know how you share things, but right now, young people especially and their families really need to know that there is support out here for them, that there are people that have their backs, and I am one of those people. So I'm really thankful to be doing the work.
Thank you for doing the work. Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter at BufferingCast and on Facebook at facebook.com/BufferingCast. You can email us at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
We also just want to remind you that this is a very special week here at Buffering the Vampire Slayer, because on Saturday we are going to have a bonus episode, a very special episode where Jenny and I were able to have a chat with Armin Shimmerman, who plays Principal Snyder. We have some wonderful stories to share from Armin. We're really excited to bring you that extra episode, and that'll be up on Saturday.
What a guy.
What a guy. Oh, what a guy. Seriously. We're in love with him.
For real. Then on December 18th, we'll be bringing our first ever live event to Union Hall in Brooklyn, New York. So if you are in town or in town adjacent, please consider joining us. You can get full details and tickets at unionhallny.com.
And really fun thing, we have a shop, we have a store, we have a place where you can buy enamel pins and more. I just
Shirts and pins, shirts and pins.
That was on the fly, everybody. So just so you know,
yes,
in
and
case you couldn't tell, that wasn't this week's song. We have a store. If you go to bit.ly/shop buffering, or go to our website and click on store, you can find our enamel pins. We have a Slayerette pin and a Cordette pin.
Designed by Kate Leth.
Designed by Kate Leth. Jenny couldn't contain herself. She had to jump in. And we have buffering the Vampire Slayer t-shirts with the logo designed by Kristine Thune. Everything is really looking fun in there. So if you want to get your shop on, you can do that at bit.ly/shop buffering. Last but not least, I just want to give a special shout out to one of our listeners named Andrea. I went out to get a meal just a few days ago, and Andrea was one of the wait staff at the place that I ate. And not only did she come over and thank us for the work that we were doing with buffering, but then before I left, I got free ice cream for my work here at Buffering the Vampire Slayer. Jenny wasn't with me, but Jenny...
Yeah, my biggest problem with this story, Andrea...
Well, I mean, ice cream's tough to travel. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have sent some home with me for you. But
I guess we'll just have to go back.
We'll have to go back.
But you're not allowed to eat the free ice cream that I'm making up.
Okay, I'll sit and watch you eat the free ice cream the second time.
That would satisfy me.
Really special. Andrea, thank you so much. And we just posted this on Twitter, but we got our very first fan mail. Christina made us 2 Cordette patches.
They're so sick.
They're so
Thanks, Christina.
wonderful. So yes, thank you. Thank you for the free ice cream. Thank you for the adorable patches. And thank you all for being amazing. You are wonderful. And we are so excited to have this to tie us all together in what are some difficult times. It's nice to have vampires and ventriloquist dummies to get us through.
Really takes the edge off.
It really does. So with that,
till next time. This week is the talent show, and if there's one thing that I know, it's that I don't want to do it. Somehow I got roped into it. Everybody else is good at stuff. Cordelia sings, at least sort of, but my talent's best kept hidden. Not like, for example, Morgan's ventriloquism. Why did it have to be a live ventriloquist dummy? I wish that it was anything but that. 'Cause me and dummies have an uncomfortable past. And I don't need to bore ya with the details of my phobia. I just wish that it was anything but that. Ooh. Somebody's been harvesting, first a heart, then a brain. Guess a demon needs some organs to keep living like a human. Sid's not evil, so it seems, but Principal Snyder might be. Yeah, the jury's out on that one. Anyway, Mark the Magician went into his magic box and changed into a full-skin demon and attacked us, but we beat him and then stabbed him in the heart. Why did it have to be a live ventriloquist dummy? I wish that it was anything but that. 'Cause me and dummies have an uncomfortable past. And I don't need to bore ya with the details of my phobia. I just wish that it was anything but that. Ooh. Ooh.
Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Ah, the web tour. Those that both creators and were created by the threads disentangle from the fringes to feast on the very thing that spawned them.
What's that, Timmy? This is how you deal with weird!
No! Do not harm my children! Oh, you lost a feather. Can I keep it?
No, you can't force me to!
Do you know what lies within nothing?
Rocket is in trouble, Akasa! Can we turn on the windshield remotely?
No, she could lose her job as an Akasar.
I don't fear Vehar.
No, but you fear me. If you intend to trick me, I will not hesitate to sever the oath bond entirely.
Why didn't you help me? Coward! I don't have a parachute! I don't like free falling!
Counterbalance, a high fantasy audio drama. Season 2, coming 15th of October 2023. Learn more on trilunas.com.